Hello everyone, I'm Peter Scott, and today we're concentrating on sitting poses, sitting asanas, meditation and pranayama. We translate asana directly from Sanskrit, and it actually means to sit, to be seated. These two poses, siddhasana and swastikasana, are related to the sitting practices of dhyana, meditation, and pranayama, commonly translated as breathing exercises. Pranayama is more than just breathing though. As Guruji B.K.S. Iyengar has stated, the breath is the vehicle for energy. The breath is the vehicle for prana. And when we slow down the breath, we absorb the oxygen, we absorb the air. More importantly, in yoga terminology, we absorb more prana. That gives us more energy to do things, or gives us more energy for our immune systems, for our nervous systems. So let's look at a couple of different ways to practice in the seated position. Currently I'm sitting on a blanket that's folded from this position into three, and then again into half. This is a small seated position of about 1.5 to 2 inches high, 6 centimeters high. What that does is it helps to elevate my buttocks and therefore lift the pelvis, lift the spine, lift the chest. Siddhasana is when we place the knees quite wide. We take the feet in close, so the heel's in line with the perineum and the pubic bone. And the other foot comes and sits over on the top of that Achilles tendon, toes tucked down underneath the thigh. This helps lock the legs in and create a firm position. Siddhasana more commonly lifts the upper spine, which is helpful for meditation, dhyana, because we have the head erect, the head upright. The hands can be in different positions, different mudras. Namaskar mudra, where the hands are in prayer pose, heel of the hand to the base of the breastbone, elbows relaxed, chest remains open. You can place the fingers and thumbs into jnana mudra and the wrists onto the knees with straight arms. Again, the chest and collarbones are broad and open, spine well lifted, head is upright. We'll close the eyes for meditation. Sometimes we leave them open, depending on the meditation. There's many different forms of meditation. There's the Buddhist loving kindness, there's focused mindfulness, and there's other forms of meditation as well. We'll talk about that on another day. Siddhasana, I find, is not so helpful for my pranayama. Although it gives me a firm foundation and a nice well-lifted spine, there's no slumping down, it does tend to slightly narrow the chest. So the chest is slightly narrower than when I sit into swastikasana or cross-leg pose. And let me change around the seated position. We'll still use the same height, but have a broader seat. So it's a bigger seat. And that helps me to support the thighs a little more. Then you can see I lift the buttock flesh out to the side so that it helps me to sit more firmly on the sitting bones. The idea of having a little bit more support for the buttocks is it allows the legs, the thighs, the knees to sink down. The knees are now below my hips. And that's important because it allows you to have more space in your trunk, in your torso, and your lower abdomen for exhalations particularly. We launch the inhalation more from the navel band, but the exhalations come right down and relax the abdominal wall, relax the whole of the pelvis. In pranayama, we're using the hands on the legs. Now I've got long arms, which allows my forearms to be quite relaxed and down. We take the hand slightly back, so when I'm breathing in, the side of the chest can expand both sideways in that slight oblique angle of the ribs, upwardly as well. If you haven't got long arms, then having a blanket or a bolster, something similar, on your thighs to help you rest your elbows down and open the chest, relax the back of the shoulders. When we're taking the hands closer to the top of the thighs, with the elbows moving behind for the space for the chest, make sure that your shoulder doesn't drop forward. You want the front shoulder to be lifted and the back shoulder to be descending. Another note for pranayama is if the knees are not descending and they're not resting onto your feet, firstly, you may need to lift yourself higher so that your knees are below your hip bones, knee bone below the hip bone. But if your foot is not supporting your knees, if your knees are in midair, you'll find it helpful to use the blanket so the knees can rest. In pranayama, we take the head down. Let me show you from the side. When taking the head down, don't take it forward and let the shoulders roll forward and the breastbone drop down. The lungs come right up to the top rib, which is just behind your collarbone. So we want to keep this top shoulder girdle area open, lifted, broad, but not tense. So when we take the head down, you can take it down from the ears, as if you put your thumbs or your fingers into the holes of the ears and lightly pivot forward from there. I find supporting or lifting slightly the pointy pieces of bone of the skull, the masculine process, behind the ears. If I lightly lift that up with my thumbs, it allows a lighter stretch from the top of the back of the neck near the base of the skull. That helps me to keep my throat relaxed and quiet. It's not tense, it's not contracted. In pranayama, you're lightly gripping your shoulder blades from the back, flattening them to the front. Of course, you can sit with support behind you. I find rather than having a broad, flat support like a wall, the edge of a wall, the corner, helps. Let's go into more details in further videos, further practices on how to create more support and more advantage for you in your pranayama sitting and all your meditation sitting. Namaskar, namaste. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you on the mat.